Can you believe this iPhone 15 Pro was actually run over by a car? Although the Sapphire camera lens shattered and the screen also cracked, the titanium frame didn't deform at all. It's one thing that it still turns on, but even crazier, the display and touchscreen still work perfectly. Compared to older models, none were built this tough. If things keep going like this, there might be no phones left to repair, and I'll be out of a job. I tested all the functions thoroughly. Currently, only the front and rear cameras and the Face ID don't work. Everything else is functioning normally. Honestly, Apple's titanium durability is impressive. A lot of people might think this is fake. Luckily, the phone really did get wrecked. This iPhone 15 Pro that was run over by a car, we checked the screen. There's no liquid leakage. We only need to fix the outer screen. Honestly, I didn't expect that either, besides the screen damage. There's also rear glass, Face ID, and both cameras broken. Based on my experience, these are all external components. The glass damage is quite severe, so we'll start by heating it, then slowly pry it off with a blade. This process needs to be very careful, because this display alone is worth over 2,000 renminbi. Before even starting the repair, we're already down 2,000. After safely removing and inspecting the interior, there aren't any serious internal hits. Right now, it's mainly the display glass, both cameras, and Face ID that don't work. We'll first replace the rear camera for testing. Sure enough, after replacing the rear camera, it works fine again, but switching to the front camera, it still fails to activate. So next, we need to replace the full front camera and Face ID module for testing, since the iPhone 14 series. Due to system camera pairing, simply replacing the front camera won't work. Even with a new camera installed, it won't function without system refresh. After replacing the front camera, we have to reinstall the system to test. After reinstalling and activating the phone, we tested the front camera again. It now works, but due to Face ID's encrypted binding, it still doesn't function. We tried reading the original Face ID data, but multiple attempts showed sensor and dot projector issues. This situation isn't ideal. If the dot projector is the issue, it usually shows a fuse error, but this time it shows abnormal circuit lighting. It means we can't retrieve the data and can't transfer it to the new Face ID chip. We'll remove and inspect the dot projector module. If the Face ID infrared component is damaged, then it means Face ID is beyond repair. That's my main concern. Sure enough, after removing the module, the infrared and dot projector chip glass is completely shattered. That's it. Face ID is completely done for. What you might not know is, if the chip is shattered, there's no way to recover the encrypted Face ID data. Of course, repairing Face ID isn't impossible. You'd need to replace the entire original Face ID module, but that would cost nearly 2,000 renminbi alone, which is more than most people are willing to pay. Most would just give up on fixing Face ID. Since the Face ID module is beyond repair, we'll just deal with the front and rear cameras. Since the front camera and Face ID are one unit, we'll just replace the whole thing. But since the Face ID can't be fixed, that means the pop-up warning can't be removed. Apple's cameras include three types: main, telephoto, and ultra-wide. The main camera is the one that's damaged because it's encrypted. To remove the pop-up warning, we first need to extract the original serial number, then reprogram it into the replacement part. We successfully unbound the original camera, then programmed the saved data into the new camera. With the prep done, we can now remove the broken main camera and replace it. Of course, if you don't mind the pop-up, you don't need to do this process. This protective cable removes the unknown part warning. It won't affect the image quality. Just pull out the old cable and solder the new one onto the new camera. Now the main camera is successfully unbound. We reinstall it into the frame, and that resolves the camera issue. Next, even though the glass screen is cracked, the inner display is intact. We remove the original factory flex cable from the display. Because the outer glass is so shattered, we'll use adhesive and a tempered film to stabilize it. This helps during the separation. We heat the screen on a heating platform, then use a fine wire to slice between the glass and OLED. The screen is now separated. Because the frame was stuck to the glass, it also came off. After separating, we use a glue removal stick to clean off all the remaining glue. Since Apple switched to OLED, the display is incredibly thin. Newbies often fail here, but after enough failures, you become an expert. Let's test and see if we messed up. Luckily, the screen lights up fine, the phone boots into the system, and touch is working normally. This is why we're confident enough to guarantee screen repairs. With the screen confirmed okay, we now glue it back. Before bonding, we clean the surface, align a new glass cover precisely, then use the laminator to bond them together. Next, we remove internal bubbles from the display. Then we use a glue applicator to reattach the screen frame. Finally, we use conditioning equipment to finish curing and bonding. The screen is now fully repaired. Let's test again. Okay, the display lights up fine. Touch works great. However, even the Sapphire glass lens cracked, 2 of them. We remove the old broken lens and the glue, then install 2 salvaged Sapphire lenses. Lastly, we perform the final standard procedure. This step is crucial to restoring water resistance. We thoroughly clean off the old waterproof adhesive from the frame, reinstall all parts, apply new waterproof seals, Put the screen and body back together, and this iPhone 15 Pro run over by a car is now fully repaired.